This training is presented by the California Student Aid Commission. Welcome to our Middle Class Scholarship 2.0 Training Module Series. This is Module 5, Reconciliation and Recertify Status. In this module, we will discuss the following topics: general guidelines for reconciliation, steps to reconcile, reconciliation reports, recertify status, and tips and recommendations. All MCS participating institutions are required to reconcile MCS funds by the year-end reconciliation deadline. The final deadline usually falls in mid-August following the end of the award year. Any discrepancies must be resolved on a per-student basis, meaning every individual student must be reconciled for each term. The variance between a student's actual award and the paid amount should not exceed more than $10 for the award year. Any excess or undispersed MCS funds must be returned to CSAC. If an institution has outstanding funds after the final reconciliation deadline, CSAC will invoice the institution. These unused funds must be returned to CSAC within 90 days of receiving the year-end invoice. Here are some crucial tasks for institutions to complete prior to year-end reconciliation. All records in recertify status should be fixed. We will discuss recertifying awards later in this module. Schools should resolve errors on the award rejects report and the accept reject report. These reports are available once per week. For more information on these particular reports, please refer to Module 2A of the MCS Training Module Series, or refer to the MCS Handbook. There are 4 steps to fully reconcile your MCS program. First, compare the grand totals on the payment activity report against the school's MCS ledger. Second, identify which terms have a discrepancy by comparing total disbursements per term. Third, narrow it down further by identifying which students are impacted using the Student Reconciliation Report from Web Grants. And fourth, resolve discrepancies by making payment corrections or adjustments in Web Grants or in your school's financial aid management system. Let's take a closer look at each step in greater detail. Step 1 involves running the payment activity report in Web Grants and comparing to your school's MCS ledger. In this example, the total reported in MCS payments for the year at this school is $50,700,059. If your school has a balance between the amount reported to CSAC and the payments dispersed to your school, your report will show a total balance up to date. If there is a dollar amount here after the final year-end reconciliation deadline, your school will be invoiced for these extra funds. To compare year-to-date grand totals, scroll down to year-to-date activity at the bottom of the report. You can see the grand totals for each term and for the full award year. The second step in the reconciliation process is to determine which terms have a discrepancy by comparing the disbursement totals per term. Take your MCS payment activity report from Web Grants and compare the term totals to your own school's MCS ledger. This step allows you to narrow down where your discrepancies may be. For example, CSAC University discovered that their fall disbursement amount from their school ledger did not match the amount listed for fall on their payment activity report. It appears CSAC University has a $2,231 discrepancy for the fall 2025 term. On the other hand, the spring total amount from the ledger matches the payment activity report. Now that CSAC University has identified that the fall term has the discrepancy, they can narrow down their search even further by comparing student by student. To compare disbursement amounts for each student, schools should utilize their MCS Student Reconciliation Report from Web Grants. This report can be filtered to display students with reported payments by term. Review the payment history student by student and verify that the payment amounts on the report match your school's MCS ledger. Also, be sure to confirm that the payment amounts reported align with the student's enrollment level. For example, full-time, three-quarter time, half-time, and so on. In our example, CSAC University used their Student Reconciliation Report and their MCS Ledger to identify two students with mismatched award amounts for fall. This means the amount dispersed by the school to the student does not match what was reported in web grants. Student B. Drayton was disbursed $1,552 by the school for the fall term, but the school reported a $3,102 payment in web grants. Student J. Chen was disbursed $2,016 for fall, but the school reported a $1,008 payment in web grants. The school will need to resolve these discrepancies before their MCS program can be fully reconciled. Schools must determine whether the discrepancy was caused by a web grants reporting error or an accounting error within their own financial aid management system. The following questions should be addressed. Was the payment misreported in web grants? Was the student disbursed too much or too little in MCS funds? In our CSAC University example, the school determined that the one mismatched student's payment had to be corrected within web grants, while the other mismatched student's disbursement had to be updated within their own financial aid management system. The final step in reconciliation is correcting errors in web grants or in your school's financial aid management system. Once these errors have been rectified and processed, you should rerun your payment activity report, student reconciliation report, and your school's ledger to confirm that the balances match and all funds are reconciled. To access MCS specific reports, including the payment activity and student reconciliation reports, log into Web Grants for Institutions. Under the MCS banner, click Report Download. Use the drop-down menu to select which report type you wish to run. You must also select an academic year and a month. We recommend setting the month to All to see your entire report history for that academic year. You must also select a media type. Please note that some file types are available only as data file, while others are available only as a report. If you attempt to run a report and get no results, be sure to confirm that you have selected the correct response for both month and media type. There are 6 essential MCS reports for schools to review. The first 3 listed on this slide are helpful to review often throughout the entire academic year. They should be reviewed weekly to best prepare for reconciliation. The 3 following reports were covered in greater detail in the MCS Training Module 1. The Enrollment File report is available in both a data file and a report media type, and it lists the students who are ineligible for an MCS award or who were rejected from the school's enrollment file. The Award Rejects report is available only in a report format and identifies students who were rejected due to mismatched data between CSAC system and the enrollment file submitted by the school. Finally, the roster file report is available only in a data file and lists all award info for students currently on the school's MCS roster. The Accept Recheck report is available as a data file and lists students who had payments or corrections applied during that week. As we discussed earlier in the module, the payment activity and student reconciliation reports are critical when reconciling MCS funds. Now, moving on to the recertify status. When an MCS payment goes into recertify status, it means that it must be re-verified by the campus for the new correct award amount. What causes a payment to go into recertify status? This happens when a student was previously paid for a term and a correction is applied at either the annual level or to that specific term. As a result, the MCS payment will go into recertify status. This can occur when changes to income, other aid, or cost of attendance cause the award to be recalculated. The new award amount overrides the current payment amount and therefore must be recertified by the school. How is the status resolved? The school must verify the new payment amount using either the enrollment status payment function or the refund adjusted payment option within web grants on the MCS display roster page. To identify payments in recertify status, start by logging into web grants and selecting MCS display roster under the MCS banner. Next, check the Recertify Only box and then click Search. By leaving the Social Security number or DREAM Act ID field blank, you will be able to pull all students in Recertify status at your school. Then review your results below. You can review your total record count here, and you can click Download Roster here to obtain the full list of payments currently in recertify status in a comprehensive report. To recertify a payment for a student, go to the MCS display roster page, find their record, and scroll down to the Term Data section. Here, you can recertify the new payment amount by using the Enrollment Status drop-down menu to select their enrollment status of full-time, three-quarter time, half-time, and so on. You can also use the Adjustment Reason Code drop-down menu to report a different status. In this example, the student was originally paid full-time for $598 in the spring quarter. You can tell that by looking at the red font in brackets next to the enrollment status field and the amount paid/verified field. The school then reported a correction that reduced the student's max term award amount to $494. As a result, the term was set to recertify payment. The school must now re-verify the correct payment amount. The school can easily recertify by selecting full-time under the enrollment status field and click Save. The amount paid/verified field will automatically populate with the full-time award amount of $494. However, the school can override that amount paid with an award amount that is within that $3 variance of $494. Since this is a quarter school, the system will allow any dollar award amount for full-time for $491 up to $497. For a successful year-end reconciliation, CSAC recommends that schools reconcile weekly or monthly by utilizing the payment activity and student reconciliation reports. Awards and recertify status should be reviewed weekly or monthly using the export function on the roster screen. Be sure to refer to the MCS handbook and payment roster file layout for specific payment scenarios, and also be sure to subscribe to the CSAC listserv to receive important MCS updates and deadline information. For more middle class scholarship resources, be sure to visit our MCS webpage for schools. There you will find the comprehensive MCS handbook, enrollment file layouts, payment roster file layouts, and other output data layouts. Thank you for watching Module 5 of our Middle Class Scholarship 2.0 training module series.